So welcome to the show. Epic begins with one step forward. I'm your host, Aurora Winter, and I'm here with the amazing Xander Sprague, author, speaker, amazing entrepreneur. And today we're going to be covering such an exciting topic, not yet. These two words can change your life when used in the right circumstances. But before we get into the topic of not yet, let's hear how Xander's brave, bold decision to step into being a world-class speaker is going in only week number 7 of his declaration that he's going for it. Pandemic or no pandemic, he is on fire. So tell us about how things have been going week number 7 of you turning on the gas with this goal.
Week number 7. Well, I like to focus on the positive. So let me first start off with stuff that I didn't get done this week or didn't work so well. So I need to do some updates to my website, and I just have been putting it off, and it didn't happen this week. So trying to be gentle with myself. Going and doing work on your website when you're doing it yourself is, as you might know, can be nerve-wracking, because if you mess something up, you can mess everything up. So, I've
done that before. Everything crashes.
Right. Or, let me try and do this. So, but really what I need to put up is just, some text stuff. So it theoretically isn't hard. I just need to go do that. And I had intended to see if I could get a video opening find some music and have a video opening created for Epic Begins with One Step Forward. And I just didn't do that. So that's the stuff that wasn't working well. Now, what was working well is I am on a roll with getting, doing my own kind of, just like you and I, but doing my own additional episodes. So I've done 2 with my friend Warren. I've got 1 set up for tomorrow with my friend Heidi Horsley. We'll be talking about Epic Unexpected. She lost her brother. She's one of the leading experts on sibling loss also. So I'm talking to her tomorrow. I've reached
number
out.
2.
Hmm?
You mean she's the number 2 expert on that?
Yes.
After you.
Yes. And then I've reached out to a friend of mine who's a actor in Hollywood. He's in movies, on TV and stuff. Just because I know we just happened to, he commented on a photo of mine, and I'm like, oh man, it'd be great to talk to him. So it's being open to who can I get, and the conversations.
I love it. That's really, like, you're really on a roll with that. So not only has this spoken author taken the work and the tedium of staring at the blank page out of your next book, but you have stepped into being a podcast host and interviewing a bunch of people. You're on a roll. Well done. That's huge.
Yeah. And I really love this ability to create a episode for my YouTube channel and take the audio and make it the podcast. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, it's great. And you can use Anchor potentially to host it. And they make it easy to monetize your podcast too.
Yeah, well, look
all of that. I know. And they distribute it to all the channels. They were bought by Spotify. So, well, there were a couple of things that you didn't get done. You didn't get the progress on your website that you had hoped, and you didn't get the video audio intro done. Were those just time issues, or was there some other stumbling block?
Procrastination. I'm just going to own it. I just didn't. It wasn't necessarily that I didn't have time. I just thought about it and didn't do it. So
you didn't do it yet. So with that note, Why don't we dive into the topic for today,
Absolutely.
which is not yet, which I really love this topic. And I love those two words. They're actually so powerful and so delightful. And yet I think we use them very, very rarely. When I lived in Indonesia when I was a teenager, and my parents were in Indonesia on a Canadian International Development Agency project, a CETA project, you go into the market, and in my, very poor Indonesian, I ask a woman, did she have any children? This
Yeah.
would be like a wizened woman, a grandmotherly age. And she would not say no, tidak. She would say belum, which means not yet. And I just loved the opening that provided for all kinds of things. Are you married? Not yet. Did you get your MBA? Not yet. Have you spoken to your audience full of 10,000 people? Not yet.
Yeah, I love the optimism, and in preparation, I was like, okay, well, what does, kind of what's the definition of not yet, right? And according to dictionary.com, used to describe something that is expected to happen but has not for the moment. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I love the optimism that not yet. It's so positive and it's so hopeful.
Well, as the god of enthusiasm, two words that are positive and hopeful would be right up your alley. I think
Exactly.
it's also a great shield for those of us like you who've got big, bold dreams and are, living large and really going for a massively transformative purpose. And then if people say, well, have you made your first million, or have you done, X, Y, or Z, instead of no, which feels like a little kick of shame or self-doubt, not yet, maintains the optimism and confidence.
It does. And I think it tells people who may be the negative Nellies in your life that it's in progress.
Yeah.
So they need to back off.
Those wet blankets can steal so many dreams.
Well, they can. And famous quote from Eleanor Roosevelt is, no one can make you feel bad without your permission. And that's so true.
I love that quote. I remember the first time I came across it, I was like, that can't be right. That's that person's fault that I feel like crap. That was a long time ago, but she's so right.
Think about it this way, Aurora. If you're walking down the street and some complete stranger says something negative about the jacket you have on, oh, that's really ugly, and you don't know this person at all, probably doesn't bother you at all because you don't know them and their opinion doesn't really matter. And yet, if your brother said to you, oh, that jacket's really ugly, it would really affect you.
Especially if it was the gay brother. The scientist brother's got no taste.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is someone whose opinion matters to you,
yeah,
all of a sudden, even though it's the same exact comment, and you could deal with both of them the same way, you just say, oh my gosh, like, they don't like it, they don't. And doing what I'm doing, there are a lot of people who don't understand, and people who, for right or for wrong, look at success monetarily.
Yeah.
And certainly I am fully
only one dimension.
Make this monetarily rewarding for myself so I can help more people and do more work. But the fact that I can't say, oh, yes, I'm doing this and I've made X, doesn't mean that I'm not successful. I'm creating all of this content.
Although I have a big beef with all the people online who say, "Oh, I've made $1 million." I want to hear about, the first time that you came across Not Yet and in a second, but I just want to rant for a second because so
Sure.
many people online talk about, their gross figures. They brought in $1 million or they did X, Y, and Z. Who cares? You can bring in $1 million and spend 1.2 and you're 200,000 underwater, nobody talks about their net. And also you can make $1 million and have an absolutely miserable life because you're working 80-hour weeks doing something you don't love. Like you were saying, Xander, I think success needs to be defined by each person, and it's far more than just material success. I wouldn't want to have material success and no health or no relationships or no joy or no meaning. And for you and for me as well, creativity and making this podcast, it's so much fun. It fills me up with the joy. And you're going to turn it into a book and you're speaking, like it's high leverage as well. Anyway, so that rant. And I even have friends, they were in a mastermind group with me, and everybody was focused. Mastermind leader was focusing us on making $1 million, and a number of them did. And then they would share in the next call, well, I did it. And I've got, $12.95 in my bank account because I had 7 salespeople and this staff and that turnover. And well, that sounds like misery to me. Anyway, back to you.
No,
When was the first time that Not Yet came up for you in your life, and why did you decide to devote a chapter to it in your upcoming book?
Well, the first time I actually sort of read about this was reading Robert Fulghum's, and I was trying to find which of his books, because he wrote a couple books, but the book he's most the two books, it came out of one or two books, either All I Ever Needed to Know I Learned in Kindergarten, or his second book, It Was on Fire When I Lay Down on It. Both excellent books.
Excellent titles too.
But he talks about Not Yet and how in the Sufi culture, which in Indonesia there's Sufism, so makes sense that part of the world, the concept of not yet. And I remember when I read that, it really, really resonated with me. And that was, when I was in my 20s. And I, as you say, I'm the God of enthusiasm. So I like that concept of there's many things that I'm going to do in my life, but they may not have happened right now.
Yeah.
And I'm working towards stuff. And it also it takes the pressure off, I think.
Yeah. The other thing I like about it, one of the things that Buckminster Fuller said is that he's a verb. He doesn't know what he is, but he's a verb. And there's something about this not yet that reminds us that we're not a static thing. We're not a noun. We're verbs. We're in action. We're in motion. We're evolving. We're changing. We're growing. And so not yet reminds me like we're more like a fish swimming in a stream than a rock that just sits there, right? And so I love, there's a couple of people I listen to, like Joe Rogan said this recently, and Tom Bilyeu said it as well, the Impact Theory host. Joe Rogan said, he'd love to live 5 lifetimes because he'd like to learn, multiple languages and do different sports and try different things. But then he added, but I've taught myself to think that way. And I'm like, that's an important way to think. And not yet reminds me like, oh, we could choose another chapter. We can write another book. You're launching a whole new career as a speaker. And apparently you're launching a whole new thing as a podcast host now too.
I mean, and Not Yet allows me to fearlessly go out and create all this content. And I believe the audience will find me. I believe that my YouTube channel will grow and that more people will find the videos and find this and be fascinated by watching our journey. And So the fact that I don't have, 5,000 subscribers or whatever, or my podcast has been downloaded 50,000 times in a week or something is fine.
Yeah.
Not yet. Not yet. It's going to happen. I
Not
need
yet.
to just put that out. And I think that's one of the big things is you and I've talked a little about it having to be perfect and I can't put this out until it's polished. Writing the book. I'm doing this the way I work best, leaning into what I do best, which is talking.
Hey, you'll
And
like this. You'll like this. I came up with this today.
Okay.
Speaking is the new writing.
There you go.
Because you're not just speaking, to yourself. You're speaking to me. It's alive. It's a conversation. You're engaged.